And you just all accepted this as this is just how horns
Well, see, this is something that they don't tell you when you first get the instrument.
So this is just gradually becomes part of the thing that you just accept as a.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things that you sign up for and then you just don't read the fine print.
You're the Apple warranty of instruments?
Yes.
Great.
Let this be a warning to all viewers who are considering the French horn.
That's right.
Terms and conditions apply. Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to OSA Backstage. I'm Dani Meyer, and on today's episode, Serena and I talk again to principal horn Brett Hodge. He is playing the Strauss Second Horn Concerto at the Jocelyn on Sunday, October 12th. Last time we talked to him, we really focused on chamber music. Today, we grilled him on everything French horn. Spoiler alert, the horn is a nightmare instrument, and it's amazing that anyone makes it sound good. Joking, not joking. The horn is a vastly complicated thing that Brett makes sound really, really easy. And it was a lot of fun to talk to him about how it works and frankly, be thankful that I chose an instrument that's a lot simpler. You're going to love it. Thanks for being here. Enjoy.
It was Friday. It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
That's how we're starting this. All right.
Yeah, always.
Brett, would you and your martini reintroduce yourselves?
Oh, this is on. I like the lights.
Thank you. It's hi, Chuck. It is, in fact, the lava lamp. Chuck Line dubbed this the lava lamp. So you get to speak direct. No ASMR this time. I'm cutting this off.
Well, hi, Lava Lamp. My name is Brett Hodge, and I'm the principal horn of the Omaha Symphony.
Fantastic. Serena, would you also introduce yourself?
My name is Serena Reuten, and I am the assistant conductor of the Omaha Symphony.
I'm Dani Meyer, and I talk too much in this podcast already. So we've had you before.
Yes.
As you are hopefully still aware.
We were over there that time.
That's right. This room looks completely different. They've redone most of the backstage area. It looks absolutely beautiful here at the Holland. When we were here talking with you last, we stumbled upon a few things that we didn't expect to talk about because we were primarily talking about horn and chamber music. So something that's come up this season is not just what was your first orchestra concert, but what did you hear first? Music in your home or a concert?
You know, I come from a family of band directors. Both of my parents are retired music teachers. My dad taught high school band for 31 years. My mom taught a combination of elementary music and elementary band for about the same amount of time.
So home.
Or you were
dragged to elementary school. By dragged, I mean lovingly partook in elementary school.
All of the above, yes. Yeah.
Do you remember, what were your first memories of music at home?
At home, it was probably my dad teaching lessons, saxophone lessons. Yeah, I was just a youngster, but I remember that. And my mom taught clarinet lessons. So I remember some of those, but then I also remember going to their school ensemble concerts. And, I have an older brother, and he's 6 years older than me, so I would go hear some of his things. And it was an interesting time in life. It was before it became my career.
Okay, what does your older brother do?
Oh, he is now a lighting designer. So his primary person is Kenny Chesney. So he does the stadium tour arena things, and he designs for a bunch of other artists. He lives in Nashville, so country music.
Okay, that's really cool. We should circle back to that at a later time.
Band parents take the country music and orchestra musician.
I mean, right? You did talk about that, how you were, oh my goodness, English. Your original idea was to go into music education like your parents, and then what was the inciting incident that led to you not doing that?
I started advancing in auditions, and my college music education advisor, who's still at my alma mater, and I love him very much. We had a sit-down chat one day, and he said, "I think you should drop your ed degree." I was like, "Thank you." The defining moment for me was whenever I had a clarinet up to my face. And I had the reed in my mouth and I was like, this sucks.
Okay, so there's definitely different ways that people react. You have to have a clarinetist. I mean, besides, like Nick Bonanni technically has played clarinet, but we have yet to have a clarinetist on this podcast to defend themselves. So there's clearly a pro reed and anti-reed.
It's not for everyone, just like Nebraska.
It should be for everyone. we can agree on that, right? Like Nebraska should be for everybody.
Oh, it
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so your mentor, your counselor said like you should drop your ed degree.
Yes,
and you were thrilled.
I was absolutely thrilled.
So I'm going to back up for a hot second.
Okay.
What was the first orchestra concert you heard, and when did you become aware of French horn?
So the first one that I can actually remember is probably a school concert that my mom dragged, I don't know how many hundreds of elementary school students to, but it was David Robertson conducting the St. Louis Symphony. And I remember it was a bunch of Copland's music, and that's what it was. And then he made some weird analogy about ketchup and French fries. I was too young to kind of grasp it, and it was probably a joke that he told for the adults in the room and that type of thing. But it was great. I remember that. But that wasn't my defining moment for horn.
Yeah. Okay. So the defining moment for horn was?
Well, to make a long story short, I originally wanted to play percussion. And my parents were like, no. You already play piano. I said, okay. And then so a few weeks later, a horn showed up in our house. I said, what's this? They're like, you're going to start on French horn. And I said, okay. It had a lot of little curly cues and things like that. I was excited. And my mom's like, it's going to be really good for you because you can sit at the piano and plunk out the notes and you can hear them. So there was a big correlation between being able to hear the pitches and being able to play them. So if I knew I was on the wrong note, I knew it wasn't right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all very valid. Was there an argument against percussion? I'm litigating your mom now. She's not here.
I don't think I put up much of a fight because they did have a valid point. I did already play piano.
I know piano's considered percussion, but as someone who's trying to learn drums and who has played piano for since I was 6 years old, I can tell you the two things are not the same.
No, but I think part of it was that lovely preteen angst when you just want to hit things. And my daughter now plays percussion, so it's okay. She can have that. She tried viola for a few years and it's like no. So now she's playing cymbals in middle school marching band of all things.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So she gets that. I got the horn, which is a good thing.
We can agree. We have benefited from having you on horn. But all right, following up to that, so you were suddenly a horn magically appears. Your mother is like, here's this fantastic pile of tubes that you put together to make pretty music. You will sit at the piano and know if you're doing this right. Fantastic. When did you understand, though, what exactly you had signed yourself up for with horn? Or have you not yet understood that?
Oh, I fully grasp the idea now. But I wasn't really serious about it until my sophomore year of high school. So it took between the time I was in 5th grade until then, 5 years. Started taking some lessons and was still doing piano lessons at the time. And it was just like, oh, this can be a thing. Cool. And then, you have some teachers who are like, hey, listen to this, do this, get this book. Oh, your hand goes this way, not like this. Or, things like that you're just kind of, you fall into place.
So you were getting these bits and pieces coming together, and it's not really someone saying, here's all these magical things that turn you into a principal horn player. It's just seeing an aptitude and adjusting from there.
Yeah.
Because that was something I was thinking about as we after we scheduled you. It's the horn section is kind of this magical place that does not obey any of the rules that follow other sections.
No, we don't.
So many issues with it, but unlike
explain.
So many issues. Okay, so there's almost always 4 of you in major orchestral works. but it doesn't go down the line of most prominent to least prominent. You are adjusted by the types of parts that you're playing, high horn versus low horn. And then principal horn still gets all the solo stuff on top of that.
And then sometimes there's someone who sits next to you.
Yes.
The assistant, and they do...
Or the British call them bumpers.
Oh, how... what a nice name.
Okay, also pinning that. Okay. Explain yourself. Explain your horn section.
Okay, so usually in a standard orchestral work, modern orchestral work...
Okay, let's say
there
20th
are
century.
four.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
First horn, second horn, third horn, fourth horn. 1 and 3 are usually high horns. 2 and 4 are usually low horns. However, sometimes 1 and 3 still play low. And sometimes 2 and 4 still play high.
So you're talking about pitch range. It's not a different instrument.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Hate it. Why? Who gets to choose who plays what? Do people have certain aptitudes? Because I keep thinking of Shostakovich 5. Like, that's the example that comes to me whenever I think of low horn excerpt. Like, that thing goes into trombone range at some point. It's really quite low. Are there people who, as they progress through their horn journey, their teachers are saying, maybe you don't want to be principal horn because these high solos are not for you, but oh my God, you can blast out Shostakovich or whatever low horn stuff. Does that happen naturally?
Oh, absolutely. But then there's a lot of times people change throughout their careers too, where they find they don't like doing something, and then they, and also like our face changes over time too.
Are you saying you're vocalists? Is that what I'm hearing?
If
vocalists sing Wagner as they get older, and French horn players go towards Wagner tubas as they get older.
We try to stay away from those things as much as possible.
In all seriousness though, like, that is okay. That's so can trumpet players, trombonists, and tubas make the same reasoning that their faces physically change as they get older? Could anybody who plays an instrument that requires embouchure and wind, could they make the same argument?
Maybe. I'm not sure, because their mouthpieces are a lot larger than ours.
Okay.
Like, ours focuses such on that size, and the muscles are a lot smaller than opposed to something that actually encircles. So you have a lot more real estate there.
So when you say your face is changing, as you've gotten older, what have you noticed physically?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
Sometimes your teeth shift a little bit. The flexibility in your lip muscles change. I have to hydrate a lot more, hence the martini bottle.
Right. I hear Jen will do that.
Yes, it hydrates. There's just a lot of little things. And then you just become hyper aware of what you eat. And like, whenever I was 16, I could go have 7 cheeseburgers and be like, I'm going to go play a concert now. And now I'm like, I can't have an apple 7 hours before I play because my teeth don't like the way it feels. Yeah, it's... You think I'm joking about that?
No, I don't.
I'm not.
It's the worst part, is I know you're being completely serious. Oh my goodness. So people might gravitate towards a certain style of horn early on in their career, and then find that they are changing that trajectory as they get more into the instrument.
Yeah. Or some people just don't like the pressure of playing all the solos, and they're more of a supportive role, but they still have to play solos, but just not as often.
When we've talked about Jurassic Park with you,
yes,
was that your first moment hearing French horn spotlighted like that, or is there a different moment?
In the movies, definitely.
Okay.
I would have to go back to relive my hometown days. My parents took me to symphony all the time. So it had to have been in one of those concerts where I was like, oh, that's what that is. And it really wasn't until it was actually in my hands that I had any idea what I was doing. Some days I still wonder if I know what I'm doing.
And join the club.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's interesting that you weren't necessarily attracted to the horn because it gave you these opportunities to be in that spotlight.
Right.
So I've often wondered with violin, any instrumentalist, it never occurred to me that someone wouldn't want to be a concertmaster if they're a violinist, or someone wouldn't want to be principal of their section. But I think we're hearing more and more that people choose the style of exposure and pressure, but also like what they feel most comfortable doing. And some people that's a supportive role, and in some people that's stepping into the spotlight.
Yes.
So like this week, we have Tchaikovsky, and you have one of the most gorgeous, famous solos of all time.
Yes.
Pat, no pressure.
It's fine.
Do you have an orchestra solo that you love more than any other?
Oh, that I love more?
Yeah. That you like. Or are they like children and you have to love all of them equally? Please don't say if they're like children. I want you to.
I mean, theoretically, yes. In theory, they're all like children. Because I don't want somebody in the audience to know that, wow, I really hate this solo.
I was going to say, you've probably thought more on the other end of like which ones you really don't look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you have to make sure that you sound like you love them.
Yes.
The ones
I love that take.
I would hands down play Mahler 9 any day. That would be my thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Why?
Anyways, so
I know which pieces you don't like, so
it's there. It's very true. Okay, so it is this feeling of like, oh, in my bucket list, or I could return to these solos. Mahler 9 would be at the top of those.
Yeah, I would say so.
Mahler and Strauss were like in their own way kind of best buds. Did they write for the horn in a similar way?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I feel like, oh my gosh, they do like the expansiveness where they often have 8 horn sections, or like Strauss's Alpine Symphony has 12 offstage horns, in which 4 of the others from stage go off, and then they play, and then they go back on. Fun fact, I have an arrangement of that for 11 horns.
I've heard it.
That's for the lavalier period. It's great. I love it. So yeah, they are similar, but I do feel like Strauss's writing is a lot more lyrical, a lot more operatic, where even though Mahler was an opera conductor. Yeah, anyways. But Strauss definitely had the horn background because his dad was a horn player. So he knew what he was getting himself into by writing for it. Mahler is a little bit more brutal on the face, just because it's a lot blockier sound. Just like imagine playing bricks sometimes.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden you have this delicate playing comes out of nowhere. So you have to be well versed in both.
So when you say blockier, like
long, sustained, loud. Whereas Strauss isn't necessarily loud all the time. Or if it is, it's often in times like with the cello is the opening of Heldenleben. You have to just be flexible.
In the section when you're playing these solos, you're playing a Strauss concerto at the Jocelyn in a couple of weeks.
Yes, I am.
You have the score in front of you, which I'm so excited about. It's a mini score too. I'm Strauss's orchestral writing for horn. One of the things I'm so curious about is the way it soars over the orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm genuinely curious of whether that is a conscious thing you are doing, or if that's literally just dynamics for you. Is it the conductor building a supportive atmosphere in the orchestra so that the solo can in fact feel like it's riding that wave, or is it the horn doing something spectacular to bring that out? What does it feel like is doing that?
I'll let you start because I do what I want sometimes.
No, I don't know. It's hard to say. I think in recordings we also get a different impression because of where the microphone is placed, and like what we think really happens with balance then isn't not necessarily reflected in real life, and depending on the hall. Especially the Jocelyn is interesting. I think the Jocelyn, it really, like where you're standing on stage affects how it's all projecting. So it'll be interesting. I don't think I have the answer to that right now.
In Tchaikovsky, so I'll back it up a little bit. In Tchaikovsky, with that solo, even though you are seemingly playing very quietly and very delicately, I can hear you in my spot in the orchestra. And then, and obviously in recordings, that does feel like it's laying just like beautifully on top of the string chorale that's happening underneath of you. What does it feel like to be in that spot in the back of the orchestra, knowing that the back wall is the only thing that's actually propelling your sound forward?
Don't play too soft. That's what's going through my head. Quite honestly.
Just a big block letters above.
Yeah. And that's a lot of the times that's what is reality. If you play too soft, you start to like it sounds tight, and you just don't want it to sound like that. Just sing it out. When in doubt, sing it out.
Have you tried singing?
Yeah, I grew up singing in children's choir.
Does it feel the same?
No. It's very different. Different type of singing. It's more lyrical singing.
How about the physical machinations? Does that feel similar at all?
Yes. Actually, in my teaching, I actually use a lot of singing analogies. I make students sing. Some of them enjoy it. Some of them absolutely despise me for it. Mm-hmm. But you sing it first, then you buzz it on the mouthpiece, then you play the horn. If you can sing, you can buzz. If you can buzz, you can play the horn. Yada, yada, yada. It's a whole Arnold Jacobs and a couple other people have this philosophy.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Yeah. Great. Theoretically. And I also talk about lifting a lot. Because I remember in choir, one of my directors talked about lifting. And she was like, imagine that there's a string coming through the top of your head. If you want to go from, I can't remember, it's like a certain vowel sound. But you go from ah to ah, just to lift your body up. So it's like you're almost like a puppet. So like lazy like this, and then you're a puppet.
Okay.
Just to raise things up.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things that cross over.
Very much so.
And
but it's also different.
Is that especially true? Is that especially true when you are in the concerto position for Strauss?
Versus being in the orchestra?
Yes.
Yes. When you're in the concerto position, you don't worry as much about the dynamics. Mm-hmm. I mean, yes, you want the difference between loud, soft, super loud, super soft. But a lot of times it's just about the character of what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you're sitting in the orchestra, you have to worry about everybody else. And it's difficult. I would say it's actually more difficult to play in the orchestra than it is to be up front. Because when you're up front, you don't worry about missing the notes or...
You don't?
No.
I'll make
he nails it every time.
Making a note.
and that's I feel like that's one thing that I'm actually better at is being the soloist up front than I am in back. Mm. So, yeah.
Does it, obviously what you hear also changes, like standing in the front versus in the back. You do probably sit in the back more often than like just the time that you've spent. But do you have to play differently?
Oh, 100%.
Doing that? Yeah. Is that a weird or difficult switch to make?
No, okay. It's just I hate to say this, but you have to be a little bit more in a box in the back as opposed to up front. You want to give everybody everything.
Yeah.
All the colors that you have to offer. But in the back, sometimes if I give all the colors that I want to give, I can be twice as loud as the orchestra. And that's kind of dangerous.
I mean, and I've had this argument with people before. I had a family member once who was like, oh, cool, like, of course you want to join X, Y, or Z orchestra. You're a creative. You're an artist. It's like, no, I want to join an orchestra so that someone can tell me very clearly what I'm supposed to do. Louder, softer, faster, slower. It's very much this interpretation within a box. And then depending what position you're in, that interpretation gets really taken out of your hands. If you're section versus principal, the amount of interpreting that you should be doing is almost zero. You are following instructions and playing to fill and support the rest of the orchestra. You are a 70-person team. And if you're principal, you get some leniency if you have moments where you get featured, like in the Tchaikovsky.
Right.
When Pat talks about all the time with solos, just listening through myriad recordings, so he's like, oh, well, this person chose to do this, this, and this, and here's what the liner notes say, and here's what I read about the performance practice, and hopefully the conductor will be on the same page so that when he shows up and presents it the first time, it feels like a thoughtful musical decision that the conductor can then make part of their interpretation.
Yep.
But
to back up on that,
yeah,
imagine you're playing in a section where you have 4 of the same instrument, but you're all playing different parts.
See, no.
Well, okay. So,
everybody is their own principal. We can make our own decisions.
is there kind of a guide to that as principal? Do you kind of sometimes talk about?
I mean, yes, we do. But a lot of times there be times when I don't play, but second, third, and fourth do. Or a lot of, because of the way that the instrument evolved, there were natural horns usually paired in 2 different keys, 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4. A lot of times it's 1 and 2 together, and then 3 and 4 together. Hence the high, low, high, low. So it's just kind of.
Is that true? Is
yeah.
Just like that's why it's 1 and 3 are high and 2 and 4 are low? Because
it stems from that. I would say it's more Brahms and before, because a lot of times you'll see horn 1 and 2 are in C, and then horns 3 and 4 are in like E and G, just to
Also in the score though, like you have the high and then the low, high and low, instead of like trying to squish the parts all together. Yeah.
And because we do play in different keys so often.
And you just all accepted this as this is just how horns
Well, see, this is something that they don't tell you when you first get the instrument.
So this is just gradually like becomes part of the thing that you just accept as a.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things that you sign up for and then you just don't read the fine print.
You're the Apple warranty of instruments?
Yes.
Great.
Let this be a warning to all viewers who are considering the French horn.
That's right.
Terms and conditions apply. Okay. Okay. So yes, you have a section of 4 plus your bumper, and except for the bumper, which we will be calling your assistant from now on. Well, the poor man. You are all potentially playing your own thing.
Yes.
So at what point do you step in for things, even if you're not involved in that section of music? Do you step in, or do you work with your second, third, or fourth player and let them run that particular rodeo?
If it's something that I can control, and quite honestly, sometimes I might be doing something completely wildly different with another group of instruments and they're doing their own thing. Then I kind of just say, hey, let's fix that. But, have either the second horn or third horn, whoever, lead it, where I'm just kind of out of it. But if something doesn't sound together, we're like, let's get this, let's figure this out. And there's some really tricky moments in the Tchaikovsky because there's a lot of rubato, and I have to kind of conduct a little bit. And if you've ever tried to conduct with the horn, it's like this. And I hate doing that because I don't like micromanaging, but sometimes you have to.
Okay.
I'm not a micromanager. I choose to lay it down with what I'm doing and hope and pray that everybody tags along.
And that's probably easier to do from a soloist position because you are present and tucked within the ensemble as opposed to on the edges of it.
Yeah.
Okay. So how much of for this, you have 2 concerti coming up this year. You have Strauss now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then you have the Mozart Sinfonia Concertante in April.
Yes.
This has been described as a mini opera. Like the first movement is an opera within an opera to a degree.
Yes.
And yet one of the most fascinating things, I was reading our program notes, annotators, remarks on the Strauss. And this was after Strauss had retired.
Right.
And so he called this a wrist exercise.
Yes.
Which I'm putting in quotations for what a wrist exercise.
Well, he wrote it after Capriccio.
Right.
So there's a lot of the same elements, especially in the latter end of the first movement into the second movement. So, and he also dedicated it to his father. And it's in the same format as his first concerto, which is very, fast, slow, fast. However, this one's a lot more, has more agility to it than the first one.
Got it.
And this is also written in the key of E flat, which means I have to read everything down a whole step from what's written.
Okay, so for our friends, who are like, well, why would you do that? Would you please explain transposition?
No, but okay. But, this one has always confused me because the valve had been around for about 100 years at this point by the time this concerto was written.
The valve horn.
The valve in general.
Okay.
So, and then, throughout those 100 years, they went from 1 valve to 2 valves to 3 valves. Now some horns have 6 valves.
Well, that's just cheating.
You're a flute at that point.
Yeah, but imagine having to do 3 with your thumb and then 3 here.
You're
or sometimes
a bassoon at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, so this, you have decided not to go the bassoon horn route, but so the valve has been invented.
Right, for about 100 years at this point.
What horn? It was premiered by the principal horn of the Vienna Philharmonic.
Correct.
So what was he playing on?
He would have been playing a Vienna horn, which is slightly different than what I play.
Oh my God. Okay.
So a Vienna horn is essentially, oh gosh, how do I say this? A single F horn, which means there's only 3 valves.
Okay.
Okay. No thumb valve, which puts us into the key of B flat. So it has a very characteristically lush and, use this word, but with quotations around it, slightly more resistant sound. You have to just blow through the instrument very differently. And they use actually a quite different set of fingerings for a lot of things than we do, even though technically I could use those same fingerings. But because we have the 4th valve, we have a lot more options.
Okay, so you are playing a 4 valve.
I am playing what's called a double horn.
Which makes so much sense. Great, continue. The Vienna horn is a horn in F, which has 3 valves and
Yes.
no thumb valve. And the double horn has 3 valves and a thumb valve.
Correct.
That progression is completely works for the language. I have no notes. Continue.
There's more tubing. You just add more tubing, so we have more fingering combinations.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it double the amount of tuning?
No.
Then that
Because
makes no sense.
B flat, it's not okay. It's higher than F. That we're going to that B flat, not the one lower. Then if we had,
If it were double the tubing, I would at least physically understand it.
So we have the same amount of tubing as an F tuba. Yeah, isn't that wild?
Pinning that along with
It's
bumpers
just-
and the other thing. All right.
So okay, this was premiered by Gottfried von Freiberg in 1943 at the Salzburg Festival with the Vienna Phil under the direction of Karl Böhm. But it was not published until Strauss died.
Right.
He died in 1949, and it wasn't published until 1950 when the lovely Boozy and Hawks, the gatekeepers of most of the fun music.
Mm-hmm. It should be there. I'll submit that to them for their their tagline for this year. Gatekeepers of most.
Isn't
of
it
fun
a
music.
beautiful score?
It is.
The typeset's very nice. I'm presuming they're not
But
mistaken.
look, okay. So let's do
Hence the word presuming.
let's do a quick little visual look.
Yeah.
Okay, for those of you at home who are on video. This is a tiny score, and I know that maybe just at first glance, this doesn't seem all that, there's not a ton of information from Go. But that in itself is really remarkable because there's not a ton of information from Go. It's a light instrumentation. It is a tiny orchestra. And for Strauss, king of the I'm throwing myself a hero's parade, Ricard, writing for tiny orchestra is kind of becoming less and less common for him, right? As he got older.
Right. But he's also stemming back from his roots because he had a lot of serenades that he wrote for just the winds. And then things like, I can't remember if it's titled Serenade, but it's called the Happy Workshop. And just smaller instrumentation. So he's not unfamiliar with it.
So he's capable of it.
Very capable.
So for a wrist exercise, I'm just going to compose this light little fluffy thing in honor of my dad.
This is what he made.
This is what he made.
Yeah.
So his dad was obviously quite a good horn player.
Yes.
Do you think his dad would have been able to play this?
Yes. Don't quote me on this, but I believe he had a single F horn, like similar to the Vienna horn. So it would have been possible. However, the facility required to do it, you most definitely needed something with valves. I don't think this is something that a natural horn could do because there's a lot of chromaticism. There's some tricky natural horn things because your hand goes like, but it's just a lot in this. So having a valve one is very helpful. But, he based the opening of the Till Eulenspiegel call off of a warm-up his dad used to do. Yeah, so on and so forth.
I like how he gets faster to imply that his father also would like play the warm-up faster, like as he...
I had no idea. That's the best thing I've heard today. Okay, explain natural horn, because we've mentioned it a number of times. Natural horn just means no valves?
Nope. No valves.
Okay.
And pitched in different keys, depending on the length of tubing. You had these things called crooks, which were interchangeable. The more crooks or the longer crooks meant it was in a lower pitch. Then you could take away those crooks and add smaller crooks to get the higher keys. So sometimes we would have things like B alto and then B basso, depending on where the composer...
Are you telling me that back in the day, horn players were like, here's my Pokemon collection of crooks?
Yes. And they usually carried around like 2 briefcases.
No.
Yes.
No.
Depending on what you were doing, they would also have 2 horns. They would have an orchestral horn and a solo horn.
Where was that?
It just falls over in the middle of rehearsal.
Oh, yeah.
Now we have a single mute falls over and everybody in the orchestra reacts as if like a bomb's been dropped. And meanwhile, you've got some poor guy in the Vienna Phil 100 years ago. Like, where the hell is my F attachment? Oh my God.
Yeah.
This instrument is a nightmare, Brett.
No, it's not.
It's a very pretty nightmare, but what a complicated...
There's a lot of room for error, let me tell you that.
I mean, yeah, I guess you just don't even know what instrument you're picking up.
No.
Okay. Oh my God.
And imagine being able to play like 10 different notes on one combination.
No.
Or more, depending on... Yeah.
I don't like it.
You could be like, I'm going to play an F. Oh, no. No, that's not it either. Let's go lower. Nope.
Will you make me feel hopefully infinitely better, and tell us how many horns you currently play on regularly?
Oh, regularly? Just 2.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I do have some at home that are like fun. And I've gotten rid of a few over the years that I love them, but I couldn't justify keeping them.
What horn will you use for Mozart in April? Because there are several hundred years between Mozart and Strauss.
I'm going to use the same one that I'm doing on Strauss.
Okay.
Same horn.
Would that have been natural horn territory back
That
in
would
the
have
day?
been natural horn territory.
Okay.
Yeah. It's common practice now to use a standard double horn to play things like Mozart. And it's one of those where if there was a classical era clarinet, a classical era oboe, then I might consider using a natural horn. However, without those other things, it'd be kind of like, when if I were to play an E flat major scale, I'd be like,
we talked about this with Maria, actually. We're like, are you going to try to sound like Traverso for Brandenburg and things like, because it's the same thing on the flute. It's the same. Each pitch is a different color and a different tendency. You're going.
I'm just going to pick my battles, and that's not going to be one of them. Yes. Now, if we were really doing a performance practice type thing, yes.
Have you gotten to do that before? Have you done performance?
We've used natural horns here.
Okay.
Whenever the Joslin was closed for renovations when we were at UNO, there was the timpani concerto.
That's right.
Yes.
Oh, started with the Z. The composer.
Remember.
It was as like a 17th century drum, like Drumbotsky or
something like that. Yeah.
Jack soloed, and it was as like 17th century timpani concerto, and it was a delight.
Wow. It was.
Yeah, and you used natural horn on that.
We did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a sweet spot for you? Like, is double horn your sweet spot, or
Yes.
is it okay? What about type of concerto? Because now you've played quite a few.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you had your friend Adam Wolf's concerto a couple of years ago,
Yes.
Which was modern with electronics. You have the Strauss, you have Mozart. You've done a lot of really cool things here. Is there a moment in time that feels like this is the type of playing that feels good?
I'm definitely like the 21st century soloist.
Okay.
I like the really hard things. I like to push the boundaries of the instrument. Yeah. And then there are people that can make Mozart sound gorgeous. And most of the days I think I can do that. But it's just not something that I would actively choose.
Okay. Yeah. Does Strauss feel like you're pushing the boundaries at all, or does it feel planted very much where it is?
Yes and no.
Okay.
At the time, this was definitely pushing the boundaries. Mm-hmm. It was popularized by Dennis Brain, who was a very famous horn player back in the day. I think he started recording it maybe in the mid-late 40s. So I think he's recorded it several times before he passed away. But he was the soloist of the day, and a lot of his recordings still stand to the test of time. But at that time, that it was the most difficult concerto written for horn. I should say modern horn. There's some classical era concertos that are very difficult as well, but in their own right. This is just all over the place. A lot of chromaticism.
A lot of pyrotechnics. Just leaping about, a lot of skill, like really, you said called it agility work. If you've ever watched those dog shows where they have to do
like
lift gymnastics.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's more pastoral. Think like Beethoven 6.
Okay.
Along those lines.
Would you mind giving us that overview of the piece? Because like I said, the opening movement is very operatic, very Rosenkavp. It's just delightful old school opera. And then pastoral is a great word for the second movement, but overarching.
Yeah, the opening of the concerto is very heroic. You have a lot of people call it the dreaded first page because it just does not stop. It is an entire page of playing. Great, love it. Then you get a few bars of rest. Then you get to some drama. And then kind of resolves a little bit. Then you have a little. It's almost like it is like an opera. You got somebody on stage kind of in that back corner. You're like, hello. And then you get back. And then you get to the end of it after the drama has happened. And it's just very nice and serene. So that's more pastoral. And then it's kind of through composed because it technically doesn't stop into the second movement. And you get the cellos going.
I hope you guys watch this on video for the facial expressions.
Keep going.
And then you have the winds coming in with this nice melody. Then the horn mirrors it. And it's very placid. Just think of a nice like that. And I don't really play with a lot of vibrato. I'm not a vibrato person. Some horn players do. That's a very French thing to do. But that's not me. I'm more about the sound and connecting the notes. And then the last movement it's kind of like the fireworks. And this time around, this is my second time actually doing it live. The first time I did it was for the finals of the International Horn Competition in 2019, and just with piano. But it was fun, and I was younger then. And I realized that I took it a little too fast. Now that I've had some time with it, maturity, things like that, you get to dive into it a little bit more. you're like, oh, you can lean into some of these things and it still sounds fast, but you can just back the tempo off just a tiny bit.
That's interesting. The concept of like to go slow is to go fast in a lot of ways because it won't sound hurried. So it'll probably be like crystal clear as opposed to frantic.
Yeah. That's what I'm aiming for at least.
It's a perfect.
It's a goal.
Love that goal.
Yeah, it's a goal.
If you had to classify your voice on horn, are we talking baritone? Are we talking like power soprano?
Yes.
All the above?
I mean, register wise, are you talking about me specifically?
I keep coming back to this opera comparison just because when I think of Strauss, I do think programmatic music. I think very strong storyline, very like connected melodies that really pop out, and they do have a very sung quality to them. So
yeah, I think it's like a combination, whatever the role is, when somebody just cannot step out of the spotlight, that has to constantly be there.
Mm-hmm.
But then, sometimes you just got to bite the bullet and sit back and support, which I like supporting sometimes. But then I sometimes like to be a little diva. I'm like, spotlight, please. And then other times it's like, yeah, let's go. So whatever that equates to.
So you are your own prima donna ride or die.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And the others just have to come along with me whether they like it or not.
Soprano.
It's like, imagine Brett-hilde with the horns, but in a tuxedo with a flashy bow tie, like one that lights up.
So Bugs Bunny does Brett-hilde?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Because that can be funny sometimes.
He carries it forward. He does what he wants. He carries it forward. He plays multiple roles at the same time. He has no problem fielding his own baseball team.
No.
Never.
No.
And he's capable of being the prima donna when he so chooses.
Yeah.
You're Bugs Bunny in a Brett-hilde hat.
You know what? Maybe that's what I'm going to do. Bring my Brett-hilde hat.
Yes.
And this is why I have a rehearsal before.
So you can try that out.
I was going to say, we're going to have marketing there. We'll make sure hey, it's a little picture.
But in all reality, I do have that rehearsal because I want to test out a good spot to stand on the stage.
Yes.
Because it's a very sensitive thing with the horn bell facing backwards, essentially.
Yeah.
I could choose to stand and look straight out at the audience, but then my bell would be in the first stand of violin's face. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they appreciate that. So it's all about placement, where I'm facing versus how it sounds out in the hall. And then for me, I've got a couple different bells that I'm going to try to see what sounds best out in the hall.
It's you and flute players, French horns and flutes have to be some of the most conscientious people in the orchestra because the way, how you're playing the instrument, how you're facing is not where the sound is coming out.
Not even close.
And so you have to be aware that you could be at any time, severely pummeling.
Just ask the percussionists behind us.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not playing something and they're sitting down, they're like, yeah, that was really loud. Sorry. But it's just because we have to go there, then it bounces that way. And then, if the downbeat is here, we have to play up here, and then you still have another 6-8 inches to go before the actual downbeat happens.
How long does it take for you to get used to that timing?
You're never used to it.
Okay.
Each person is different. Each orchestra is different.
Each hall is different.
Each hall is different.
You get set up in a different spot.
Yep. If we're 4 feet to the left of where we're seated for the Tchaikovsky, it's very different than where we are for the Tchaikovsky. If we are playing with somebody who conducts ahead of the orchestra, that's even more difficult. So we have to kind of figure out where it is. So a lot of times I'm watching the bows because they have, I don't know, like an inch and a half or so before like the sound really projects. So I take that into mind. So if I articulate with that in mind, it usually comes out okay. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I gotta figure it out. We're usually late, but yeah.
So you almost you have to rely more on visible cues as opposed to auditory ones?
Yeah.
And then what happens when you're in front of an ensemble for a solo? Is it bizarre to finally be able to play in the pocket, or is it a relief?
It is weird, but it is a relief. But it's a different challenge.
Okay.
Because a lot of times I find myself wanting to push because I'm so used to having to be like, okay, got to be ahead of this, even though we're playing the same thing. So lean back a little bit.
Okay. Go back to the dreaded first page concept.
Okay.
Is that a face thing? Is that a lungs thing? Is it what makes it that amount of playing? What makes it hard as a brass player? That might be
it's just, it's a face thing.
Okay.
I mean, realistically, a good first horn player should be able to play it just fine. But the fact that you have like 10 pages after that with some rest. And the concerto itself is only about 20 minutes long. So in all reality, it's not that long. But it's just a lot of playing, a lot of this, and then just a lot of expansiveness. Is playing a solo, especially in a concerto form, is it kind of like an athletic competition where you have the nerves, the fight or flight response? Mm-hmm. Does that wear you out faster than it would when you're just practicing at home, or does it feel pretty much the same? It's the same and different for some things. I prefer to get all of the bad things out before. Mm-hmm. Like during rehearsal, like whatever missed notes, go for things, because I always think a performance is about 10% less than what you can actually do. If that makes any sense. Yeah. Yeah. So if you like practice and you can nail the notes 100% of the time, you can expect 90%, maybe not accuracy, but just like the comfort and the overall, like what you deem successful, like take just that tiny bit off. Okay. What she said. Okay. I've heard it as floor and ceiling, that like, you know where your ceiling is, and you hopefully know where your floor is. And the goal is to keep pushing the ceiling higher, mm-hmm. and simultaneously raising the floor up where you can. But that every time you're growing your potential for success. Yeah. Okay. The sky's the limit, Dani. There is no limit. The limit doesn't exist. Especially not in this room. Nope. Amazing. Okay, I have so much to unpack about horn. I mean, there's always a lot to unpack. I don't want to unpack about horn anymore, Brett. That's a nightmare. What a nightmare instrument. But it's lovely. It is lovely. You have to be slightly neurotic, though, to do it. What's interesting is I would say a lot of musicians on this podcast have said something similar. Like you have to be slightly neurotic to play X, Y, whatever instrument it is. It's just a different type of neurosis. Yes, it's a different flavor, a very particular flavor for a French horn. Yeah. I also love the common thread of nobody really knew what we were signing up for when we signed up for it. Yeah. So you don't get the terms and conditions until you're 8 years in. You're like, I think I could do this for a living. And like, fantastic. And then someone hands you something and you just like laugh, cry yourself to sleep. Right. And here's Bruckner 4. No, that's fine. Like I can eat that stuff for breakfast. Yes, you can. I like that. Okay. Someone else can have the low notes. I don't like those. Great. Those are things I practice. Actually makes me feel better. You have stuff you practice. Okay, so speaking of neuroses. Yes. Last question. Okay. If you had 30 minutes. Now, and again, keeping in mind, you were a music education kid. You have played tons of these instruments already. Mm-hmm. We already know you're not going to pick clarinet. Right.
if you had 30 minutes, no consequences, you had access to the whole stage worth of instruments or any role on that stage, and no one's going to get mad at you for trying it out, what are you trying?
I'm going to be the DJ doing one of Mason Bates' pieces.
You're going to play the laptop?
He's going to play the laptop.
Yeah.
You're the DJ. Yeah.
Yeah. I always thought I wanted to be like an EDM producer. Like, I love the electronic stuff. That would be if I had to redo this whole thing,
Yeah.
I would be doing more of that.
Why redo when you can start
Hold on. Can I
I've
ask
already
one more?
done one piece.
Last question. This is the last question. So you're doing the cathedral concert. Am I allowed to
Yes.
ask questions of the
Yeah.
cathedral? Will there be any EDM?
No,
at the
there will not
cathedral?
be.
I'm sorry, what a waste of opportunity. It's Saint Cecilia, is the patron saint of music, and you're not going to bring the sweet, sweet sounds of subwoofer and laptop into
Subwoofer in that, you know.
There's a time and a place for a lot of those things. That is not one of them with the marble.
Okay, but in all seriousness, though, you would like to be like the Mason Bates style composer. With,
Absolutely.
Okay, mixing beats behind the orchestra. With the orchestra.
Creating the beats.
Creating beats.
Yeah.
We know some people who create beats. So,
I like
okay.
beats.
All right, 30 minutes. We're going to give him a laptop. We're going to pair you with Shalise. She's DJ at Crabber and Gucci here in Omaha, world famous. Okay. Brett Hodge, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Looking forward to telling everybody about your career change.
We're gonna have a new series, Cathedral and Omaha Symphony EDM after hours.
Omaha Symphony remix after hours. Yep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Also led by Brett Hodge.
Mm-hmm.
Breaking marble.
Laying down those sick
Hashtag.